Many of you, many of you at the summits have seen and heard a little bit of the story behind this, but it's a part of what we are at our core. It's a Maryland pride theme that we have, and we're very fortunate that board member Kevin Plank had agreed with a concept that we had to kind of take his enthusiasm and excitement for not only Maryland pride that he had for the university when he played on the football team and through his efforts with Under Armour take it out, on a big way through that vessel. We also asked if we could turn it 180 degrees and focus that Maryland pride on Startup Maryland and the entrepreneurs, his other passion personally. So Kevin, if you're on the phone, thank you so much. This has become our icon, our talisman of the movement of Startup Maryland back from our launch back in April. Next slide. Who am I? I'm Mike Binko. I have a day job, CEO and president of a cloud startup called kloudtrack. I have a wonderful experience of having two very good startup mentors early in my career. Bill Schrader, who started PSINet, was a client of mine doing this crazy internet stuff, and I was the new person into the firm and had the pleasure of being handed off to him with the difficult client doing this crazy internet stuff. He eventually hired me into PSINet and was there for the run-up during before the bubble, doing enterprise in the internet. He was the mentor on that side. I ended up in corporate ventures for PSINet after we roadshowed and raised about $1.5 billion to build infrastructure, get dark fiber. We were one of the first internet companies to do that. And then I worked with Ed Postal, the CFO. He was my mentor on knowing the finance side of how these markets build and evolve over time, and knowing that you're always selling. Whether it's an exit or not, you're always selling the company and have an opportunity to do what's right for the employees, the shareholders, and move on. Julie is our co-chair of Startup Maryland. She's a serial entrepreneur herself, a real go-getter. Getting stuff done is her theme, and we're very proud to have her. The helmet she's wearing is also another Maryland Pride helmet that the roller derby team in Baltimore had that we tapped into as well, and they crashed our launch party, and it made for a nice little event. Our focus is really connective tissue. If you're familiar with Maryland, there's no dearth of entrepreneurship in the state. Back to the heritage 400 years ago when the Ark and Dove landed, no resources, roll up your sleeves, get it done. It's in the DNA of the state and the culture. With the federal government in our backyard, similar to DC and Virginia, we have more of a knowledge economy base, and the innovations that we breed are PhDs and folks that often have a government contract in their backyard or in their back pocket. So there's a little bit less of the riskiness in Maryland of moving forward. It also bleeds over to the investors, the angels and the VCs. That's an equation that we're trying to change. And we're trying to do that by being connective tissue, but also owning the relationship with the entrepreneurs. Something in Maryland that is also pretty unique is that the politics line up in stack. And innovation and entrepreneurship in Maryland is more of an economic development play than it is pure startup and get it done and execute. Next slide. So for us, the theme was, let's surround ourselves with the entrepreneurs. We started with entrepreneur town hall meetings. We went around the state, got them in the room. We could have told them what we thought they needed, but we wanted to absorb it from them and make that part of our mission. Next slide. No surprise, the same elements that Startup America started with at the national level in version 1.0 really bubbled up to the top for us. So access to capital, no surprise. Exposure to revenue opportunities, the corporate connection side, and the big startup idea from New York Stock Exchange is something that we have a big ask for to kind of help that make for both sides of the equation moving forward. Mapping of available resources, I think everybody in the regions has initiatives behind that. But for us, the one we wanted to hang our hat on was awareness and celebration. Next slide. So what did we do? Iowa had the idea originally to put geeks on a bus and go down to South by Southwest. We absorbed that at one of the regions events, and we said, you know what? Maryland is somewhat disjointed, but very diverse and very rich in its entrepreneurs. Let's get out in front of them. So let's put a bus out there. But we didn't want to just go around the state and say, hey, we're here to Startup Maryland and tell people what we do. We wanted to bring the entrepreneurs in. So what we did was we wrapped the bus in the Maryland flag, the Maryland Pride theme. We put a video studio in the back. And we invited the entrepreneurs to come on, give their story in their words, with their passion, their enthusiasm of what we promised is that we will take your story out of Salisbury, Maryland on the Eastern Shore, or Garrett County in the Panhandle and the mountains, and we're going to bring it to the media hub and get you some attention and focus the spotlight on what you're doing. And what we found blew us away. We expected 40, 50 companies to join us. Next slide. We had 168 companies come and actually pitch on the bus, and we had to turn about 70 away just because of logistics. What that helped us do was build a credibility factor with folks that we were also reaching out to, the politicians, the economic development agencies, the incubators, the academics, and the investors. we're all wondering, what is Startup Maryland, and how can we, is it competitive to us? Is it complementary? How do we leverage this? So for us, this is just high school students that joined us on the steps of the Capitol. We actually had 3 students pitch from that group. So the big idea for us moving forward is, how can we be a funnel? How can we engage on the mentorship side? Next slide. And how can we really take this to the next level with leaders driving it who are entrepreneurs? The for entrepreneurs, by entrepreneurs is at our core. So we are part of the acceleration program that Scott and Donna are facilitating. We just had a session on Monday in Baltimore at the newest for-profit accelerator in the area, Betamore. And we have a very renewed birth of excitement, enthusiasm, and a core team that we think we can bring these big ideas out to. We do have an ask in the New York Stock Exchange. We do have another ask of Kevin to kind of get involved as our highly visible, successful entrepreneur that has a passion behind startups and entrepreneurship. And we also have an ask of everybody in the room to kind of give some thought to how we can leverage what we did with that Pitch Across Maryland to Pitch Across Maryland. Talk to Steve, Pitch Across America. Talk to Steve a little bit about it and some of the folks from the other regions. We're happy to help. There's pitfalls to avoid, but we're help to make it move forward and get on the bus. Thanks.
Pretty remarkable. 5 minutes of pop. That's pretty good. When we're looking at this again, I think we might be the same here. So really, I just want to thank everybody for you guys coming here, but also sharing kind of what you're up to.